The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athearn Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athearn.com. And by Wathers, everything you need to build a great model railroad. Visit their website at wathers.com. And thank you for your support. This is the What's Neat This Week podcast number 32. Tonight I've got Chris Palomares talking about Athearn's latest news. We've got Michael Buddy showing us how to do Scotch tape windows, and I'm going to show you how to bend microengineering track with a lighter. So stay tuned for tonight's show. This is the What's Neat This Week podcast, number 32, April 14th, 2018. Just a couple more days and everybody's taxes are due. We've got a great show for you tonight, so kick back, enjoy a hot cup of tea or coffee. And with me tonight, I've got Chris Palomares, Chris Morosco, Chris and Chris, Mike Buddy, and I am Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat Show over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. We've got Dirk Reynolds on camera number 1, and we've got Daniel Coombs, our favorite, over here on camera number 2. And we've got a lot of visitors tonight watching, so thank you very much, guys. Let's hear it. Who's out there?
We got a live studio audience tonight.
We really do. And to start out with, we've got a lot of new news. And the one thing that I had on the list, and I was going to clip the footage from James Wright, is the Broadway Limited Union Pacific 412-2 locomotive. It's new in their brass hybrid line. It's got sound and smoke and the Paragon 3 sound system. But I don't need James's clip because, Chris, you bought one of these today.
I did, and I'm still bleeding. But anyway, it's a great piece. Like I say, I don't know much about it. The reason I purchased it, because 1, it was brass, 2, the detail's phenomenal, and 3, my buddy Bo says, I'm going to get one of those too. Well, I beat him to it. But
now,
anyway.
It's beautiful. Now, the history of this, and Bo was explaining it to me earlier, that this was an engine from the 20s. But Chris, this is the engine that was the deciding factor in the competition between the CSA-1s. In other words, they took this wheel arrangement, split it in half, and went with the articulated style CSA 1s and 2s that Athearn has got. Yeah. In fact, in the documentary in What's Neat, I talk about this very engine, and it's really great to be able to see it here on the table. Let's run that tonight. Rapido announced this week, I got a phone call directly from Rapido out of Canada, HO scale VIA F40s, more specifically known as the F40PH D2 locomotive. Now, these are the Canadian prototypes, and they came in a lot of very special paint schemes, like the Kool-Aid engine, or the Home Hardware engine, or my favorite is the Coors Light Express paint scheme that they had put on this locomotive. And Rapido's making all of these. They're really beautiful. They also told me that they're doing their FA1s and FA2s again, and these are some really nice locomotives. I know you can check those out on their website. And the last thing they said is FP7s A and B units in various Canadian paint schemes. And I want to go back real quick. There's something on my list here on this FA2s. Mike, they want to know what road names they should make. And they've got a list of road names on their website. And Missouri Pacific is the one that I circled. If we want FA2s and FAs in Mopac. Now, this week, one of our sponsors of the show, Wathers will be announcing a new name train. Now, we kind of alluded to that last week in last week's show, but this Tuesday on the 17th at 1 p.m. on their Facebook page, they will be announcing a brand new name train in their line, and I'm excited to find out what it is. Now, they wouldn't tell me what it was, even though I got the non-compete, those non-disclosure papers. They still won't tell me, but they gave me a hint, and the hint is, I wind through mountains, hills, and the plains with multiple domes that define this great train.
It's a riddle.
I'm thinking it's Northern Pacific Green because they had domes, right?
Zephyr.
But
California.
I just
California
don't. But Broadway Limited already. I don't know.
Yep. California.
So stay tuned. We will
California
all
Zephyr.
find out together at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, April 17th. Those of you that don't have jobs can watch it. Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply called me up today, and Jeff Otto is in Florida. This is the picture we're going to put on the dollar bill. Look at that beach. Thank you, Jeff, for that warm water shot. But he is promoting his straight track jigs, and these are jigs that we videotaped one time for the show, where he's actually putting all the parts together on a straight piece, 2-part die. And he says these jigs are what he's got in his inventory, and he wants to thank everybody who has contacted him and the business that he has received from our podcast. He is busy. He's busy doing a lot of custom work, and he's smiling. So good for Jeff Otto at ohrtracksupply.com. And Chris Palomares, Athern, the announcement and screenshot that opened up this show. Tell us about that.
We're going to be doing a second group of SD40-2s. They start off with the UP United Way, Polling for United Way. That was used in a lot of different, I'd say, campaign trains and things like that, all over the UP system. It lasted until, I'd say, 2007, I believe, before it got rebuilt into an SD40N. But yeah, that's one of them. The other ones are some RJ Cormans that go with some Thrall cars. And just head over to athern.com and check out all the new announcements for this month.
How about that? Now, Chris, you were here today working on some modules. You're working on some modules that have a bit of a traditional history behind them.
Yeah, actually, this is one of the first Fremo modules ever built from the San Luis Obispo Model Railroad Club. The story behind it was Art Armstrong, who was one of the co-founders of the North American Fremo Standard, worked with another gentleman, Chuck Paul, and they built this module called Oceano at the time. And Tim Runnels, probably watching this, will remember what it is. So what I'm doing is more of a restoration. I'm not really trying to make it as prototypically accurate as I can, but I do want to make it run good so we can pull it out and have it part of Fremo setups in the future. Kind of keep that legacy and that history moving forward into the new millennium. So that's what I've been working on.
How about that? Now, Walther sent us a box this week, and it's their layout control system. And what this is, we got a 2-amp little 12-volt power supply, and we got multiple switch machines here for switching the turnouts on your layout. We've got the distribution block, which is the console here. And what it is, quite honestly, it's a plug-and-play system to control the turnouts on your layout. It's it's as easy as hooking up your cell phone and charging it, to be honest with you. And we've got it all set up here, and what I'll do is next week I will assemble these parts together and show you exactly how the system works. If you want to know right now, you can check it out at Walther's website. And look, it's right on the front page. Just click right on that. And it's amazing. You push a button, all the LEDs let you know which switch, which line is open, which is green. And it's a plug-and-play simple system, honest. And we'll have something assembled next week for the show to show you how it works. And that's what I wanted to talk about. Also,
before you go on,
yes,
I'm going to interrupt you.
Shoot.
People will be wondering about how it's working. There's a servo on it, so it's servo-based.
Right.
Turnout throwing. So there's a lot of kind of buzz around servo control. So this kind of taps into that, I can tell.
There's a decoder in there, isn't there, too?
Yeah, there's a few things going on here as far as like some of the logic. It looks like it'll be interesting to see your video.
It'll be
question
neat.
Also, actually. What's the suggested retail price on something?
You know
like
what?
this?
I asked Chris that tonight, and I didn't look it up, but you're seeing it right now on the screen. I'm just showing you a quick shot off of Walther's website here as to the price of these. It's kind of neat. Like I said, we'll set it up. Walther's had it on display at a show in a plexiglass box, and I could really see that as being an easy way to show it off. But let's just do a piece of wood and a turnout and make it work. It'll be neat to push the button and watch it go back and forth. I want to play with it. Okay, now we're talking about track almost switches. Let's talk about microengineering for a minute. And we're going to have a little fun with this, okay? I was at Microengineering Monday picking up some garden railroad ties for the large-scale track because we're going to start to bring the large-scale layout back to live now in the next few weeks. And somebody called in the phone and said, you know, that microengineering track is so hard to bend. How do you bend the microengineering track? And you guys, have you ever bent microengineering track?
Oh,
You've
no.
never laid track, have you?
Years ago.
Can you
with
bend that into a
flex
curve
track.
for me?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You bend it one way and it bends the other way.
Yep.
Okay. How do you bend track? Well, my suggestion has always been to use a lighter. So here's some lighters, Chris. Chris,
A little
have a lighter.
Little flamethrower.
Mike,
Okay.
you bend microengineering track with a lighter. Okay.
So just like this, right?
No,
That's
no.
Like Freebird, right?
All together now, right? Okay, here's the point of this, and let me just be straight here with you for a minute. Now, this is non-weathered track. It also works weathered and non-weathered. This is code 83 track we have here. It works with all codes, and all you simply do is you take the lighter and you rub it on the track.
Oh yeah.
Now look at that.
So you don't get to light it.
No. We don't use the fire. We
I was
use
afraid you were
the
gonna burn it.
round
Don't go,
edge of the lighter. Now see, that's there's a 15-inch radius. Now you want to straighten it back out again? And this isn't a joke. I mean, if you want a gentle radius and you know generally where it needs to be on the layout, here's your radius right here, and you're ready to start conforming it in the spot where you need it. So that's just one suggestion for bending microengineering track. It works.
You
It's
can also
proven.
use this in percussion.
That's what's
as
neat
like
this
a-
week. Oh, yeah, okay. We need some music on the show.
All right.
So that's the lighter thing. Scratch that off the list.
Bo, did you get that?
Wow. I
wondering how
got
you
to
weren't
tell
going
you
to
that
that
was really, really unbelievable.
The instant trick for the
I
podcast.
was waiting for the ties to catch fire here. Gee, guys. Mr. Pyro here.
All right, Mike, buddy, you're up, brother. You brought something. You've got the trick of the world here. It lasts for 40 years if you do it.
Yeah.
What are you going to do
Well,
tonight for us?
First of all, I've got another one of Jens Jan's cars here. The latest one that I did is a 1966 Ford Galaxy. It's a 3D print, and the lines on it were very fine. It didn't need a whole lot of finishing work on it, just some sanding and a little bit of scraping. But I keep getting questions about the windows, the Scotch tape windows. So here I've got a load of 1970 Chevys, which really aren't in my era. Again, my era is 78 or 79. These are all different body styles that I've cast from a shrink by John Tyson of the 1970. I combined different roofs and from different cars to make all the different body styles. That's another thing coming up. I finally got a space on my workbench cleared out for Ken to come over and do a resin casting video. So hoping like the week after next we can do that.
Great, Mike.
So anyway, all right. I'm going to take one of these cars and we're going to do a Scotch tape windshield on it. I'm going to show you how I do it. Try and do it real fast.
Derek, have you got side-to-side movement on that camera?
Somewhat.
Loosen up that knob on the side, the big knob, and it'll free up for you. Okay.
Yeah, I've got it.
Just use. I picked Scotch tape just because it's a good brand. It's clear. There's not many blemishes in it. And then I put it on one of these office type rollers because it's easy. It gives me a third hand instead of trying to hold the plastic roll in my hand. But okay, get rid of the part that probably has fingerprints and stuff on it. Get some clean tape. Pull it out. Cut a curve in it. All right. Now you take it. I'll try not to move this around too much. Curve it a little bit. Match up the curve to the bottom of your windshield. There's probably windshield wipers there or something, but you try and work over that. Try and get it right in the frame, which I'm doing a terrible job of right now. But for demonstration purposes, we'll call that good. All right. Once you get it on pretty good at the bottom there, you take a toothpick or anything really and burnish it tightly around the window frame as tight as you can.
I've never seen everyone so quiet before, Mike. This is amazing to watch you do this.
All right. Then I do everything with a single edge blade. Use whatever cutting tool that you are comfortable with.
Oh, man, you had me scared. I thought the table was going to have cut marks in it.
No, man. Then I carefully trim around the edge.
He does it without optimizers.
It's so quiet I can hear the
Yeah.
radio back there. I forgot to turn off.
Now, I don't know if I'm doing a very good job here.
Well,
One-
the idea, that's what I did on that Trident.
On the Chevy trucks.
Yeah, on that high rail deal that I did.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay,
With
now I'm
the
going to
door
try and
and
pull this
that
off and see if I
window.
did a decent job trimming this. It doesn't look like it. But you
I'll
get
tell
the
you what,
idea.
that was a big saver for the maintenance away stuff.
Yeah, you did a lot of those maintenance and weight pieces
And
like
that's
that.
the only way to do it.
Okay. I gotta do this top piece again here. Hope I'm not taking up too much time, Ken.
This is what everybody wanted to say.
Yeah, we did get 3 requests. All right, well, I gotta do a little bit more trimming, but you get the idea if you can zoom in on that.
That's amazing, Mike. It looks like a windshield. It curves to the curvature of
Right.
the automobile.
Well, that's what
what's
you
amazing
try and
about
do.
using it.
And it's
Here's-
clear.
Here's another one that I've done. The back windows and side windows are a lot easier because there's not nearly as much curve to them. So here's another one, a 4-door car that I changed into a Bel Air by blanking out 2 of the tail lights in the middle, and it also has the Scotch tape windows. So anyway, that's a little demonstration. Like I said, in a couple weeks we'll do some resin casting over at my house, but no filming of the layout, Ken.
That's awesome, Dirk. Show this building right here. This is that Walther's paper mill that we were filming last week, where I told you I was going to start building it. I wanted to build an interior structure on it, kind of go wider on the whole thing, Dirk. But I'm going to pull the top of this off to show the interior tree that I built for this, so that the building would have structure for me. So all it is simply something made of wood instead of plexiglass. There's plenty of room for the railroad track to go right straight into the building. And then the building will fit right over that as a shell. And I've got plenty of room for the windows and everything, and all the roof detail can get put on. But essentially, this will make the building bulletproof for taking outside and using for photo props. Or if you want to put it on your layout, you would router out your layout a 1/4 inch down. And now you've got a permanent base for what would be a structure with interior, lighting, and everything else. You're building a ship model almost once you start detailing it out. So I'll have this finished next week. I'll show it to you painted with a roof on it and maybe a final photograph of it on the What's Neat This Week podcast. And this is the Walther's paper mill. So it's a pretty neat kit. Check it out.
Boy, that could be any kind of industry, though.
Sure could.
And hasn't
That's
the-
a nice modern building.
The weather's been absolutely fantastic here this week. I took the opportunity to clean out the garage, which is loaded up with modules from about 20 years of photo shoots, large scale. I put them all out in the front yard so I could hose out the garage. And here's all these modules in the front yard. And large scale, HO scale, 3-rail, some Athearn dioramas, multiple covers, multiple ads, hundreds of ads were shot on all these various dioramas. But this is the amount of material that you need to have. And this is just half of them. And this isn't the home layout. But this is so that you can have material at a moment's notice ready, drop trees in it, drop buildings in it, and no matter what the scale is, in 3 days, you can have a professional ad shot. So that's a little of what went behind the...
Spring cleaning with Ken Patterson. That'd be a good segment. Where do you
All
get
right.
all these wonderful toys?
Funny. My wife says that needs to happen every day with me.
Yeah.
Now, Dirk, you've got a firehouse here. What's going on with this? And talk so the microphone can hear you.
All right. So, Mike and I have been talking about the emergency train, or the emergency TV show. And this is the Trident, or no, this is the Roco D300 Dodge truck.
Okay, I'll get close-ups of that for you.
Right, get some close-ups of this. We got a guy on the internet said, yeah, and I even, because I didn't know there was a motor in here.
Okay.
And he said, yeah, I even painted mine Chrysler blue. So I got to paint Chrysler blue.
And you built a firehouse here going on, too?
Well, I contacted Shapeways,
Oh, look at that.
and
Oh, cool.
this is the rescue box
Nice.
that goes behind it. Now, this is a matchbox, but apparently this is the cab I'm going to have to start using because I was unable to locate the real cab that's done in a resin. So, anyway, what I did is, here's the Menards firehouse.
That's Menards.
And as you can see here, this is the fire station. I've done all research all week on this. This is located in California. This is the station. The actual station number is 12, and they put 51 on it, but this is the station they used. Well, what I did is I went on and I wanted to know exactly how big or how wide this thing actually was, because we know this isn't right. They got the width correct. This is correct. But the length of it goes all the way back here. So I've got a lot of styrene work that I'm going to have to do.
So you're going to build a
too.
12-foot deep or 12-inch deep?
We
Okay.
are going to do a prototype build on this.
But if somebody wanted to just have it on their layout for selective compression,
Right
that
here.
would be perfect,
You
wouldn't
put
it?
that there. And it's even got your door in the
Okay.
back, just the way it is. So this has been my project, and this is what I'm going to be working on for the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'm trying to get all this stuff ready for the prototype show.
Cool.
Neat, Dirk.
So one of many projects, but that's what I'm working on.
Well, as always on the show, we always like to present a few minutes where we ask or talk about a subject that actually makes you think about something for a minute. Heart help, deep thought on a subject. And tonight's discussion is, and Chris and I talked about this earlier,
And it was a tough one to answer. So go ahead.
all of the trains that you may have, let's say you have trains, lots of trains, passenger trains, freight trains, stuff from when you were a child, Lionel, whatever scale, all of your trains in your collection. If you could keep only one locomotive and one consist of cars, passenger cars, freight cars, what would be the one train? If you couldn't keep any of them except for one, what would be the one train that you got to take with you?
Where?
To a
the
new
grave.
tiny house.
Let's just say
We're all giving up our big
Yeah.
$500,000
So it's got to
mansions
be
for
a
a
short
tiny
train,
house.
you're saying.
and it could be anything you want. A train, a consist, a passenger train, just maybe an engine. Maybe it's a sentimental engine or something that you like the most best in any scale. It's just something to contemplate, and I don't have an answer. I've thought about it for 4 days.
I thought about it, and I could come up with only one answer. Because when you're presented with like a question like that, and say, okay, you have to downsize for whatever reason, I think the first reaction is to go with whatever's most sentimental to you. For me, it'd be like this one locomotive. I have SP 4838, and I swear this thing followed me all around when I was going to high school. It followed me out when I was going to college over in Tempe, Arizona. 4838 followed me back to California after that, and it had its full set of SP lights, L window all the way up, even after the UP takeover. So it lasted to, I'd say, about 2003 in its original SP configuration. And one day I was working, I look out, this was in Santa Barbara, I had a great view of the tracks. Unfortunately, no. But here comes 4838, and it was switching out some stuff over in Goleta, and it laid over the night, and it was like perfect SP configuration. This is about 2003 or so, and then it came back. Someone put a shoebox cover over the gyro light housing, so someone must have took it. I don't know, it might have been vandalized.
Yeah.
But, and then I don't know where it went as far as that, but I would keep that locomotive. I have it in my collection. That'd be the one locomotive that I keep out of my collection. I
nice,
keep the ones I first weathered, as far as like my freight cars.
Yeah.
I'd say, there's about a dozen freight cars that I weathered up about the same time, and that would be my collection.
I think
Yeah.
I think I'd have to take something out of your collection then. Since nothing's
Chris would
worthy
be
of mine.
Chris will be getting
I
all
already
my
know
collection.
you can't
Yeah, I'll
answer the
just take your
question.
collection. Hell.
Yeah.
I know Mike doesn't have an answer because you've got.
One train of every auto wreck I've ever made.
It could be one auto rack train. Pick the year, pick the cars. But anyway, I look forward to everybody's thoughts in readers' comments on that question. If you could only keep one, what would it be?
Yeah.
So
T40-2.
Mine would be an RS 1325, my brass engine.
Yeah.
Most people are probably clueless what that is, or maybe not.
Chris, you got an airplane here. Are you painting some more figures?
Well, Ken, funny you should bring that up. I have not painted an airplane kit in 48 scale in 30 years or so.
Okay.
I started working on this back in November, put it down, I got burned out. Then I picked it up again last week. Then 2 days ago I started painting the figure, all in acrylics, with the exception of the face, and that's in oils. But the reason I brought this was I think that Ken and I are going to do a figure painting seminar or symposium or whatever you want to call it.
What's neat segment
or
on how to
podcast,
paint
or,
people.
yeah, on how to paint miniatures. HO and O scale, something that quick and dirty. Basically you can do it with 2 colors of oil paints. And yeah, I think we'll do that in June? After I get
Sounds
back from
good.
Chile?
Sounds
Yeah.
good. Daniel, I'm going to throw something at you. What's the name of the guy that makes, I don't remember, anybody can throw this in. We had him on the show, and he makes the airplane Boeing loads.
Oh.
Dirk, come back here with
That
Proto
was
loads?
at the
Proto. Was it
prototype
Proto?
show.
What was the name of that company that
Prototype
makes them
show.
Boeing loads? Anybody
Is it
remember?
Proto loads?
Well, it's probably going to be on the screen now because during editing, I'm going to go look it up and show you
Yeah,
the guy's
and it
face.
was called Proto Load.
This guy makes Boeing HS
Yeah.
scale
Yep.
airplane
Makes some nice
fuselage
stuff.
loads.
Right.
You need to build some of those.
Yeah.
that would be your forte
No,
for
actually,
HO.
it's funny that earlier we were talking about if I was going to do a railload, it would have to be a current railload with like M1A2s, M2A3 Bradleys. But in order to do that, you'd probably have to do some good 3D printing on some modern stuff.
Yeah.
And I cast resin for a living. I mean, that's my full-time job. So I'd print one of those up and just knock it out all day long and then do, a whole battalion or a brigade. You're talking a couple hundred tanks or APCs on a rail.
Maybe we should do the
And
resin
then,
casting thing at your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then then I brought my latest 3 purchases. I'm a Jeep
Oh,
fan.
you've got number 431 here in Rock Island and
Yeah.
the Illinois terminal.
Yep. Then I brought this.
Those got
monstrosity.
Tsunami 2 in them, don't they?
They do. I'm
Catherine.
spoiled. I when I first started buying engines a year and a half ago, I'd just buy what I liked, and basically, then I realized, it's going to take more money than
Yeah.
to update these than what I could buy them new for. So
I don't know, but you have good taste.
yeah, and unfortunately, that's not good all the time. So
Yeah.
then I picked up this new engine here. And it's nice. The detail's fantastic, but I like my Jeeps.
No, those things run great and they sound good. Joe Fugate at Model Road Hobbyist Magazine asked me to give a shout out to the magazine because he's realizing over and over, and he's getting emails of what is a magazine? What is that? So many people that actually watch this podcast have never heard of Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine, which is an online magazine that Joe Fugate has been publishing, I'm guessing, for almost 10 years, I want to say. Maybe not that long. But it's all around 300 pages every month. It's free, and it's supported by advertisers, just like this podcast is. And it's a really reputable magazine. So check it out, MRH Magazine. Google it if you want to.
Yep.
A
it-
I need the link
that's
to that
for sure.
actually.
It's model-railroad-hobbyist.com. They also have a user forum, so if you haven't been there, just go there, check it out,
Or if you
check
just
out
go
the
to
discussion
type
in the community.
what's neat this week, and you'll get.
Yeah, let's
something
do
there.
that. Actually, put up the whole URL to it so we can. And do they have a Facebook page as well?
I don't know.
Yes,
Anyone
they
know-
do.
They do? All right. Excellent.
Same thing, Model Railroad Hobbyist on Facebook.
But it's got a lot of variety.
Remember.
It's not road selective
Yep.
or air selective.
Excellent.
How about that? The only last thing, and I'm going to let Chris go here in a second. April What's Neat is still running. We've still got 2 weeks for you guys to watch that. It's got John Parker's BNSF Fall River Division layout in it, which is one of the best, most magnificent operational layouts that I've ever seen. We do an update on the log mill, BTS log mill project. Kevin Rubel explains CAD Rail to us and some of the benefits about that. We got Stephen M. Conroy's drone footage, and you got me thinking about the drone footage just now, Chris, when you were talking about the military stuff. In June, we've got a really neat military train drone footage to run. Absolutely incredible footage of his train in California.
Can I just interject here, Ken?
Please.
Why don't we get Mike, Chris, and myself to kind of do a commentary on that? Because Mike could weigh in on the flats,
Yeah.
and Chris could weigh in on
Vehicles.
the military equipment on there. And, I'll just kind of guide the discussion.
Great
And just-
idea.
Sounds great.
and just kind of get ideas and pointers on, how to do some prototype loads. Starting, because, there's guys out there that are buying the Desert Victory, the 1943, and, that'd be a perfect train to put behind it.
Oh, yeah. Did you see that footage we had last week with 1943 that we had received from Tim Reynolds?
Yeah.
That was neat. That was so beautiful.
Yeah. That would have been a great place to go check it out, is up the coast.
The last thing in the April video that you can watch is a screen replacement and what kind of glues to use to apply these screens to your F units as the screens pop off. Sometimes that happens for temperature changes. May's What's Neat video at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine is done. It's a home run. I like it. It came out really outstanding. And June's What's Neat starts getting produced on Wednesday. So that's the end of my list. Chris, you got anything else? We're coming to the end here on this number 31 or 32.
Well, thank you for watching, everybody. Please like or dislike. Leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to kenpatterson.com and click the bell. That'll also give you a notification whenever a podcast comes out and goes live.
Is that the YouTube? Is that my YouTube?
Yeah,
thing?
that's on your YouTube. But hey, how about we go run some trains? We got
I
a
want
lot
to do
of
that.
neat stuff
I
here
got
to
to say
run.
one thing real fast before we disappear because I just now forgot. I talked to George on the phone last night at Soundtracks.
Oh, yeah?
And he said he's been making videos every single week on how their systems work and explaining the Fs and the CVs and a lot of the things that I used to do when I was shooting videos for Soundtracks. But George really knows the material.
He does.
And he's gotten a lot of views on their website. So check it out. Check out all of George's videos at Soundtracks' website.
Let's just have some more fun running
Yeah,
with
let's
it.
get some
and-
running.
All right, guys.
All
That's
right,
it. The
guys.
pressure's off. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks.